Hello, everyone. Welcome to SJU on Wednesday. Should we call it Spider Wednesday? I mean, the end of this trailer had us prepping for Spider Monday. So we're going to dig into some Spider-Man trailer here. We got Lon, we got Kim. This was the one the fans were demanding.
Oh boy.
They were letting
intensely.
it be very, very intensely. But we got the new trailer for Spider-Man No Way Home yesterday, a movie whose title I keep wanting to say is Far From Home again. They're too similar. But yeah, big trailer here for a highly anticipated movie. Big villain sort of reveals and confirmations.
All the villains, every villain.
All the villains in history.
Oops, all villains.
or is it only some of the villains?
I know.
Yeah, well,
we don't know.
A lot of them.
They showed Green Goblin fully. They showed Sandman. They showed Electro. They showed Lizard. We saw a lot more of Alfred Molina as Dr. Octopus. We heard Dafoe's voice for sure in the trailer, and then Tom Holland being Tom Holland is like, oh yeah, I worked with Dafoe on set, so we know he didn't just do some ADR. We saw Jamie Foxx. We didn't see Thomas Hayden Church or Risa fans, but come on, like if they can get the Oscar winners, they got everyone to.
Well, I mean, it's interesting because to me that is still kind of a question mark. It's not even so much could they get Thomas Hayden Church? He's around. I feel like it's more like, is that a considerable role in this movie, or is this one big sequence where we're going to see these guys show up and then get dispensed? Like, I don't necessarily know if we're going to get a scene showcasing each of these villains, or if it's going to be a few set pieces where it's just like throw a bunch of villains at them who will be dispensed quickly.
Yeah, I mean,
Sandman doesn't mean anything to, we'll talk certainly about if there are more Spider-Men in the mix, but Tom Holland and Sandman, they don't mean anything to each other specifically. So I don't know if,
I think you're right in that there could be a couple actors who just did some voiceover.
Those two, Sandman and Lizard, seem to be the prime. If you were just going to have people kind of show up, those would be the ones to do it.
Right, just throw them in a recording.
Maybe they were difficult to work with, and nobody wanted that.
Maybe Hayden Church.
Thomas Hayden Church seems like a delight. Come on,
I want to believe.
Wings vet Tom Hayden Church, please.
Reese has had some stories, but it was funny. Right before, I'll talk later about my experience watching this trailer in a theater with people. But there was, some betting, some debating. Will we see Andrew or Toby? I felt good with what I said, which is no. Not in this trailer. They'll show you some more villains. So no Andrew or Toby. We'll get into the Zapruder filming of all this soon.
Yeah, really.
But overall thoughts, both of you, on this very anticipated trailer for a very anticipated movie.
Well, I've really bought into this whole film, the whole circus around this movie. The Spider-Man films in the MCU have never been amongst my favorite, but I am so looking forward to this film, and it feels so good to be able to say that, especially at this stage when we're all like, what's happening with phase 4? I can't wait to see what it throws at us, and and I can't wait for that moment when we see Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield. I nearly said Andrew Maguire and Tobey Garfield.
Their final form.
Good t-shirt, Lon, by the way.
House, but
nice.
And it says I hate Mondays there.
Oh, amazing! I hate Spider Mondays. No. I just love it. I can't wait to watch the film and go, we knew it. We knew they were in it. We knew all along. And the feel or the crushing disappointment of them not turning up.
I think they've got to at this point. It's going to be riots in the streets if there's no Maguire.
Yeah, right. If they hadn't gotten them yet, right now they could be like 10 million each to film 2 scenes.
I guess I'm a little more muted. I will say the one thing I really like is the idea that Doc Ock is sort of acting as a mentor to the heroes, and that we're going to kind of, I like that he's a rehabbed villain and he'll be one of the good guys, because he was always sort of like half good guy, even in Spider-Man 2, the original one. He was never just like outright seething, maniacal evil. So I do like that angle, and I think that sounds fun and a good role for Molina. In general, though, I'm not the guy who's going to be super excited to get cameos from all of the past Spider-Man movies, especially the the Andrew Garfield ones that I didn't really care about. At like Jamie Foxx returning as Electra just doesn't inherently do that much for me. So I don't know. I mean, we'll see. It really depends on the movie. I also feel like I'm more interested almost in the Doctor Strange of it all, and how, because it does feel like they're purposefully, he's not acting like himself. They're kind of hinting around that there's some other level to what's going on with Doctor Strange in this, and I'm almost more intrigued by that than the like, oh yeah, it'll be blasts from Spidey's cinematic past. Like, oh okay, that'll be fine.
You said you're not the guy to be excited by that line, but I am the guy to be
right. Well, it's good. It's a very, balance.
Yeah, I'm pretty hyped. And I know it is so funny, right? When like, because I'm not I enjoyed the first Andrew Garfield movie while also thinking, why are they doing the origin again? And then the second one's a huge mess. So it is inherently funny, right? That it's like, yes, Jamie Foxx is back as Electro from a movie no one liked. But they did it. They got me. It's a fun thing. I am definitely one of those people that just, I grew up reading so many Marvel comics, and the fact that this era, to some people's chagrin, to some people's enjoyment, to some people in the middle, is just everything happening that as a kid would be like, wouldn't it be cool to see in a movie, but never thought we'd get, is insane. This being another one. It's like, what if we got 3 different versions of Spider-Man over 20 years, and then they all teamed up and they fight all the villains? Of course, yes, it could be a huge mess of a movie. I hope it's not. It's funny, like the Spider-Man movies are not among my favorite of the MCU, but I like them. I like Homecoming especially. I enjoy them both. And so I am hopeful, even though I'm a little, want to keep my caution up, that they can juggle everything this movie seems to be putting in, because it's a lot. They still have to deal with the cliffhanger from the last movie, which sets this all into motion.
One question for you.
Mm-hmm.
If all of the villains that have been conquered by Spider-Man are back, where's Mysterio? Shouldn't he be there as well?
I mean, I think right now we assume he's really dead until he's proven otherwise.
But Doc Ock is really
But dead. They're from other realities, yeah. So they'll have,
So I mean, dead people from your own reality don't get to come back, but dead people from other people's reality can come back. That's an odd system.
Also, do we assume that it's because it was a spell gone wrong about Spider-Man specifically that it's happening to bring in people connected to Spider-Man from different realities versus just anyone?
Oh God, now that's complicating things.
Yeah. Well, one thing I thought was very strange is there's a shot, and I don't know if we have it as a still, but when we actually see the multiverse tearing in this trailer, and like when things are really hitting the fan and like the third act, it does kind of look like Loki when the multiverse was tearing at the end. So I do feel like there's a chance that the things that the characters in this movie think are causing their problems may not in fact be the real cause of some of their problems, and they are seeing implications from elsewhere in the Marvel universe.
Yeah, I mean, knowing that Doctor Strange is going straight from this into his own movie called Multiverse of Madness, clearly one of the credit scenes will be about him. And I think you're absolutely right, Lon. Like, there's that shot of like, it looks just like the sort of,
it's like a purple tear through the night sky, and like that's almost exactly what we saw in Loki when the actual, after they killed He Who Remains, and the multiverse was sort of starting to rip itself apart.
It'll get there. Let's do the Zapruder filming I was mentioning.
Sure.
A lot of people were mentioning there's like a shot of Spider-Man leaping forward at Sandman, Lizard, and Electro.
There it is.
There we go. And people noticed in that shot, why is everyone's eye line not at Spider-Man? Like Sandman is, but the other 2 villains are not looking at him.
Right.
Could they be looking at 2 other gentlemen in Spider-Man costumes? What do you
then
think?
there is the, and I can't, I'm listening to myself. There is the Brazilian cut of the trailer, which
release the Brazilian cut of the Spider-Man trailer.
Hashtag release the Brazilian cut. And in this one, you could clearly see that Lizard gets hit by something. His head goes blah, like he got punched or he got knocked in the head with an implement. There is nothing there in this image, but obviously we have digitally removed stuff from trailers before, or composited shots together. So I think the implication there is there's a Spider-Man there, punching Lizard or hitting him, and we just can't see the Spider-Man is being hidden from us because they don't want us to know the identity of that Spider-Man.
Yeah, I mean, I feel for sure, both Spider-Mans, both additional Spider-Mans that we are excited about, Garfield and Maguire, are in this shot and in this movie. And they teased it in other moments throughout this trailer. There's I don't know, it's Tom Holland Spider-Man wearing the black suit. But at the moment that he appears, we hear Strange saying, we started getting some visitors from every universe. It's like teasing different versions of Spider-Man. And then you get this upside down Spider-Man moment when Doc Ock grabs him by the neck, which mimics the upside down kiss from Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man movies. And there's a moment where towards the end of the trailer, Tom Holland saves MJ from falling, which again mirrors.
Or does he?
Cut
away.
Attempts to. The Gwen Stacy and MJ moments in their corresponding Spider-Man films, and there's a train. So, and I mustn't forget the moment where he says, "I can't save everyone," Tom Holland Spider-Man, and it's almost as if ... but more Spider-Men can. So
right.
I'm convinced that they're here.
Yeah.
Well, also one of the leaked shots from the person who we don't need to mention by name, sort of one of those two leaked shots that got up where we see all three of these Spider-Men together. I have no way of knowing if those are real images or photo. I don't want to offer a theory, but it does visually line up very well with that scene of Sandman. Like they're on a construction site. There's some sort of, like they're on a scaffolding of some kind. So it would make sense if those were all images from one sequence.
Yeah, the Spider-Man movies in particular, I know the MCU does it to some extent, but for whatever reason, the Spider-Man trailers have been the most sort of digitally manipulated. The Homecoming trailer had that big shot of Spider-Man and Iron Man going through the city together. That's not in the movie. The Far From Home trailer switched what suit he's wearing at the benefit at the beginning. It made it look like the regular costume, but it really was the Iron Spider costume. So we definitely can't believe anything in these trailers. Like there could be so many different things of like who's doing what at one point. I have to mention for Billy's benefit, the is it a pipe or is it Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man arm? That there is a shot of Mary Jane, and yes, that red arrow is that Garfield's arm. I want to know.
Okay, look, this was late night doom scrolling, and I was like, that's either the most inefficient pipe I've ever seen, or the most inefficient graphics cleanup I've ever seen, where they're like, no one's gonna know what that is, and it's a Spider-Man arm. I don't know. I think it's quite fascinating either way. I would love to dig a lot deeper into the pipe arm.
The pipe arm of it all. What if Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man comes back, but he's been through a lot and he has a pipe for an arm now?
Definitely already by default the best Andrew Garfield Spider-Man movie.
Pretty
if
sure
that's the case.
That is Mephisto, you guys. Figure it out.
That's him.
That's Mephisto.
This is where in the script it has Spencer was going to host originally, him queuing me up to talk about seeing this trailer, but I'll just cue myself up. I went to the fan screening last night of this, which, it was crazy. It was like the most Comic-Con environment I've been in since the pandemic. Hyped up crowd. They're singing songs. They're singing Spider-Man theme. They're singing songs from the Into the Spider-Verse soundtrack. They are asking each other trivia, not prompted by any of the studio execs. So kind of the ideal place to see it. And then Tom Holland shows up. And guess what? He seems so wholesome and nice, guys. Got all teary-eyed because the crowd was so emotional. So I will say everything I think about this trailer, which I'm already a mark for, but is also through the filter of like, hard to top the environment of screaming excitement for it. But Lon, it sounds like did this raise or lower your interest, or just kind of same baseline?
Oh, well, like I said, I the story. I like their angle. I like the angle of them teaming up with Alfred Molina and getting Doc Ock in there in sort of a mentor role instead of just as like a one, you know, like you couldn't tell from the previous trailers, it looked like he could just show up for one scene and fight Spider-Man on the freeway and then he's gone. I'm glad that he's the character that they're kind of going to use more. So I like that. I like that angle. It certainly doesn't make me like sour on it. Like I'm obviously going to see this and I'm looking forward to it. I just, Ready Spider 1 would not be like my favorite approach. And I still feel like, I felt like throughout the whole Tom Holland Spider-Man series that it's kind of a shame that we don't get to just spend more time with like him in his world being Spider-Man, which is often my favorite stuff in Spider-Man movies. And it feels like he's so tied to like Iron Man or the MCU major plot lines more generally. And then this time, even his third movie, it's basically like an interdimensional Doctor Strange adventure featuring the cast of Spider-Man. And it's like, I would love one time to get just like a conventional kind of Spider-Man story of doing Spider-Man things.
Yeah, I mean, I really enjoyed Tom Holland's Spider-Man. I've enjoyed his movies, but I also agree with you. Like in a world where money and scheduling were no problem, it's like if we could get like a little Spider-Man Disney Plus miniseries in between these movies.
And I mean, we are getting freshman year, so I mean, maybe that will be finally my opportunity to have him just like fight the Prowler and something, and like be Spider-Man for a few days without having to be also Iron Man or also Doctor Strange or It just feels like a lot of piggybacking. And again, we're piggybacking now on the whole 20+ year legacy of Spider-Man films.
Right. I'll try to, we'll move on in a minute. But Kim, I'll ask you, there's a shot in this trailer. We see Green Goblin, full costume, looks like the 2002 movie. But then there's a shot of him speeding forward on the glider. We don't, and there's a shot shortly after the one we're looking at right now.
Yeah,
it's like
where there's like two gliders.
Right. And there. Who is that? He's not wearing a mask. Everything looks kind of different about the Goblin in that shot. And I'm just trying to do you think that's Norman or do you think we're getting a second Goblin in this movie?
Well, I think it looks like Paul Atreides from Dune.
Now that would be a twist.
The sleeper must awaken, you guys. So
I instantly noticed this on the first watch of this trailer and thought, what? That is not the Green Goblin. That is not Willem Dafoe. That is, it could be another version of the Green Goblin, or they just haven't made the stuntman look like. Because it's a stuntman, right? Doing
right, but he's not. Yeah, but this guy's not even wearing a mask. So yeah, I think it's something else is going on.
Something else, yeah.
Dane DeHaan.
I was gonna say Franco's too problematic.
Oh, I don't think.
But Dane DeHaan is also. I think Fox is your return from Amazing Spider-Man 2. So
yeah,
I don't know who they throw in there. I'll close this out by just saying Tom Holland. Who people have teased him in the past for giving away more than he should. He's been trained better now. He was very good at teasing, and he kept saying like, "Oh well, my favorite scenes is I can't talk about some huge things." And there's a fight scene where we did a different kind of fighting style than ever, but I can't say who I was fighting. And lots of things were like, I think I know who you're talking about filming. Yeah, Shang-Chi. But it got me sufficiently hyped. So good job, Mr. Holland. I'm on board. Well, I think this movie will make some money. So we'll talk more about it as we get forward. Let us just pause here just to say thank you guys so much for watching. Subscribe to our channel if you haven't for videos every weekday. Hit that like, hit that bell for us. Let us talk about a little Harry Potter reunion news. This came through yesterday. Yesterday was the 20th anniversary of Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone's actual release, or Philosopher's Stone. If you live where Kim lives, and you understand philosophy, which we do not.
Listen, it just means a little different thing here. It's not, it has a meaning in America. It's just different.
I just feel
you guys, you understand sorcery.
We understand sorcery.
We got sorcery. Yes. They don't.
Yeah. But that movie, 20th anniversary, because time will not stop. And there was an announcement in the middle of the 20th anniversary day, which was Warner Brothers and HBO Max sent out an announcement that they are doing a big retrospective special for Harry Potter, the film series. And the big announcement is that Daniel Radcliffe, Rupert Grint, and Emma Watson will be kind of headlining this special. They'll be joined by Chris Columbus. They'll be joined by a ton of other actors from the film series who you might know: Helena Bonham Carter, Robbie Coltrane, Ray Fiennes, Jason Isaacs, Gary Oldman, et cetera, et cetera. will be on this. But I think the big news here was the trio participating in this special. So are you guys surprised that the main stars are coming back? I mean, particularly Daniel Radcliffe and Emma Watson have very notably not done any Potter stuff. They don't never go to the theme park stuff. They never go to the conventions. They turned down participating in the Diagon Alley stuff. Rupert Grint did, but they didn't. There's a really terrible Hermione sound-alike if you go on the Hogwarts Express. So were you surprised to see them returning to where it all began with them for this special?
I mean, no, I'm not. I imagine there's a decent paycheck involved. But also, you know, I think they are all really fond of and grateful for the part that they played in those movies. And I interviewed Rupert Grint not that long ago for M. Night Shyamalan's Servant and asked him about his time in the franchise. And he said kind of in no uncertain terms how grateful he was for his time as Ron and the opportunities that it gave to him. I've got some quotes who said, "It's very strange talking about it now from this point of view because it was such a huge part of my life. I'm hugely proud to be a part of it, and to see it live on in different forms now just adds to that pride." And I think that probably echoes Daniel Radcliffe and Emma Watson's feelings. So I'm not surprised. I think there's an element of damage control here from Warner Brothers with everything, you know, the controversy that J.K. Rowling has stoked up. And I think probably these guys want to protect the franchise from this in some ways because it's very special.
Yeah, I think that's what I was really going to say. Is I think this is on some level a opportunity to reclaim the Harry Potter franchise, that J.K. Rowling's not going to be in this. And they kind of made a point to like not say, they didn't announce like J.K. Rowling won't be in this, but it was like notably absent from all of the discussion of it. And I think that even though there's sort of an awareness that, well, she's still financially in some ways tied to the franchise behind the scenes, that we're kind of relaunching Potter sans its original creator in this new era. And I think that's something that they all can get behind, even Radcliffe and Emma. I like that there's a lot of interest in, exactly what Kim said. Like, let's take the franchise and kind of isolate it away from the negative press that has been coming up over the last year or two.
Yeah, and I also think I agree with you, Kim, that it's like I think that these people, like, of course, it's like it's so important to them. Like this, they literally grew up making these movies. But I think what happens with a lot of actors who are so tied to one character or franchises, and I understand it completely, is for a while they want to make sure to step away from it. I remember doing a Bones set visit when that show was very early on and being told like, oh, Boreanaz doesn't want to talk about Angel, don't bring it up. But then a few years later, he started doing conventions and reunion stuff because he'd been on Bones for several years. Then he went on to a Seal show, and it's like, now he didn't feel like that's all I'm known for. And I think that's probably for them the same thing. Like it's a hugely important experience to them. They've never said bad things about it. They just, I remember Radcliffe even said that when he turned down coming back to do more theme park stuff, he's like, I just felt like if I say yes, I'll have to say yes to everything forever. Like there had to be like a line of sometimes I can say no.
Do you also think, is anybody think, because we just a few weeks ago, Chris Columbus was out there talking about, I want to do Cursed Child and I want the whole cast back. And like, now they're all reassembling with Chris Columbus. Like, are we being set up? Is this all set up?
I don't know if we're being set up or they're being set up or both, because I do think getting them all together, Warner Brothers is like, let's make a deal, guys. Like,
yeah, I think there's definitely some clasping, like the devious mustache twirling, going on behind the scenes there, scheming.
Yeah, I absolutely thought the same thing, Lon. I was like, yeah, they're gonna get them together because we're getting already. You always knew they wanted to do that. Of course, they'd want to get them back for Cursed Child, and now
everybody likes money,
right? And then the indifferent response to Fantastic Beasts, on top of J.K. Rowling doing what she's doing, I think they're gonna finish the Fantastic Beasts movies, but they're looking ahead. They're like, okay, what do we do?
I think everybody realizes like there's interest in the world, sure, and you can keep expanding it, but nothing like the interest if you got that core cast back. That's taking it to a totally different level.
Yeah. And what do you guys think? They'll do it, right?
Yeah.
I think it's just a question of when and how much it's going to cost Warner
Mhm.
Brothers, but I think it's going to happen.
Yeah, I agree. I do want to mention Rowling a bit more because Lon, it was funny because I even had some people tweet at me like when I was tweeting out the news because I got the press release, like, what about, is J.K. Rowling in it? It's like, she's not in it. And the only mention of her was buried at the bottom when they just do the like about Warner Brothers, about HBO Max, and about
Right.
Wizarding World, and
Yeah,
it like
exactly.
named kind of legalese like based on J.K. Rowling's works. So yeah, I just feel like I mean, look, notably, like these stars kind of spoke out against her, certainly against her beliefs. Like, you know, they countered it. So, I think you guys kind of already mentioned it, but it just does feel right. Like they're like,
Well,
okay.
And if you remember a generation ago, so much of the Harry Potter publicity and marketing was J.K. Rowling focus. She was front and center all the time. So moving her completely out of the picture is like, it's a notable difference.
Yeah. What do you guys think about I did think it was funny that they announced a 20th anniversary special. It was the day of the 20th anniversary, but it'll debut January 1st. You think they just couldn't get these deals done in time?
Yes, I think it was just pandemic, lockdown delays, and they couldn't, just like the Friends reunion. Like, this is the sort of thing where if you got to get them all in a room together, it's much more complicated.
Yeah, I mean, probably, but I like to think that, you know, the original release of Harry Potter and the Philosopher's / Sorcerer's Stone was, hello Taco, was was staggered, as they often are, through countries. So some countries didn't get it till April 2022. So kind of this release at New Year's is kind of bang in the middle for all territories.
Plus, all properties that do a huge 20th anniversary celebration like this, including new merch, they consider it for a year. They're like, you know, we're celebrating it for a year. Yeah. HBO Max is really going big. These reunions. You mentioned Friends, Lon. They also did the Fresh Prince one. Do you like to see these? There was. We should put this aside from. There was all the Zoom ones that everyone kind of did very hastily because that's easy. But do you like when you actually get these like produce people sit down together retrospectives, or you can take them or leave them?
I think it really helps if the people are excited to be there. Like, I think there were fun moments on the Friends reunion because like Matt LeBlanc and Courtney Cox and Jennifer Aniston kind of seemed like they were very excited to get back together and be there and catch up. But there were also a lot of awkward moments, and I definitely felt like Lisa Kudrow was like checking the exits every few minutes. Like, do I have to do all of Smelly Cat, or can I just do the first verse? And so that, like, when that happens, it's weird. Like, it's not always my favorite vibe. So I think it really depends on, are all of these people going to show up and be like gay? Like, you know, Robbie Coltrane's going to make it work and be fun, but like, are they all going to come and be game and be down to play and excited to be back? And if so, then it'll be fun to watch, I'm sure.
I love those things about the Friends reunion that you didn't like, Lon.
The awkwardness.
The Smelly Cat stuff felt so. It just felt like she doesn't want to do. It felt like when you go to like somebody's house and they make their kid sing a song for you, and the kid doesn't really want to do it, but they like bully them into it. Like, it felt like that. Like, oh, let Lisa Kudrow go home.
It had its own drama. It was like a soap opera in itself, and I loved that about it. And if you'd have asked me that question, Eric, before I watched the Friends reunion, I would have said, no, they are not for me. But I have changed my mind because I loved the Friends reunion for those reasons. I thought it was TV gold. So it was a whole separate, nuanced thing from the original show. And yes, I love the soap opera of it, to be honest.
I have not seen the full Friends reunion. I've seen parts of it, but I did watch the full Fresh Prince reunion, and I like that. It's pretty good, and I like that they got into it with the original Aunt Viv and her and Will having their sort of dramatic, you know, heart to heart, and Will owning out to being young, arrogant Will who endorsed getting rid of her. So I like when they get to the air the dirty laundry. They get the big hug at the end. Why not? What is that? What's another WB owned property you want to see a big reunion for?
Family Matters. Come on. What are we doing?
Yeah.
Urkel was the biggest phenomenon of the 90s, and we are trying to act like that show wasn't completely rewritten a season in to highlight the biggest that this was like Gangnam Style times 57. It was amazing. And we've had like 500 reboots of all these 90s sitcom. We're on our like 10th Big Bang spinoff, and we haven't even had one reunion. Yes, you can.
You can't beat Jaleel White. You can't do it. It's not.
And
like,
he's totally going to do it. Oh my God, if we can get Daniel Radcliffe and Emma What's Her Face to go do a Harry Potter reunion, are you telling me that they can't make a stop down in Burbank at Jaleel White's place? I'm assuming he lives close.
Saying, you couldn't do like a million like Urkel spin-offs and stuff because it's got to be the real Urkel. And
do you not want to see
selling purple Urkel now?
Post going to space Urkel, who is now married to Laura? Presumably they have children. Do you not want to see Eddie is now a cop? I'm sure Carl's retired. Who knows which version of Harriet we're gonna get?
Billy has big plans for the whole Family Matters verse.
I mean, my question is: is it in the revival or in the Family Matters reboot? Are we going straight sci-fi where we're incorporating all the late season fantastical Urkel inventions? Or is this like we're going to kind of reboot it, retcon a lot of that stuff, and it's a more grounded, realistic take, more like the early episode?
No, I don't need Christopher Nolan Presents Family Matters.
Yeah, that's what I said. Like, well, that's you gotta make that decision. It's like, so it's like there were dream sequences and stuff in the end.
No,
like, we're just gonna
I want full on time traveling to pirates with 3D glasses that I picked up at Pizza Hut.
He's invented an artificially intelligent robot version of himself. And,
yes,
sure.
Urkelbot. Yes.
There's Stefan Urkel is out there. He's got a
trying to find his family.
Yeah,
I think it's fantastic.
Doppelganger. All right,
Yeah.
Well,
all right.
Billy
Please
wants
continue.
not just a reunion special, but he also wants a whole.
You want a full revival.
I want it all, baby. I want the Fuller House treatment.
Well, listen, they're doing a new Perfect Strangers, so I mean, I don't think this is so outside the realm of possibility.
Oh, and I mean, God, there's a new head of the class on HBO.
There's a new head of the class. Yeah.
If Warner Brothers owns it, they will reboot it.
What's going on with? Here's my question: what's going on with Dawson's Creek? They must be thinking about something to do with this. Those folks are all still around and acting, and would probably throw maybe not Michelle Williams.
It's owned by Sony, so they don't have a streaming service.
But it's on HBO Max, isn't it?
It's on Netflix, I believe. I believe it's on Netflix.
Oh, I thought it just popped up on HBO Max. I could be wrong.
But Kim, Lon, who would you like to see do a reunion special that could lead to a Cursed Child or Family Matters reunion series?
Oh, wow. Well, I was going to say, because it's Warner Brothers, and of course I'm going to say this, The Matrix. I want to see a Matrix reunion. And obviously
it's called Resurrection, right?
We finally got
coming soon.
Yeah, exactly.
But no Joey Pants.
That's true. That's true. He didn't want to, he's back. He's still in the Matrix.
Oh, and if they do a Matrix reunion, they can get that guy who played Tank, who went crazy and wanted so much money for the sequel.
Oh, you're right.
Yes.
And they can try to work out their stuff with him.
Explain yourself, Tank.
Tank will have a big monologue about where things went wrong. I completely endorse that, Kim.
No more to say on that.
Lon, what's your Warner Brothers?
You know what I think you could definitely get some more seasons out of is Fringe. So I think you could bring back that's a Warner Brothers show that was on Fox, but Warner Brothers TV. So many possibilities. I mean, and that show is so good about, well, this season we're doing this crazy thing, and then this season now this is the story, and so it would be easy to revive.
I'm just gonna do one totally. Well, for me, we're all saying for ourselves, but if they want to go to the New Line side of things at Warner Brothers, let's get everyone from every Nightmare on Elm Street movie sitting around a couch, just sharing stories. Obviously, Wes can't be there, but they'll have nice memories of Wes. Robert Englund will be hamming it up. Everyone can talk about their experience making every Freddy movie, and that can lead to New Line and Warner Brothers saying we should make another Freddy movie.
Even Johnny Depp, Eric?
Johnny Depp can send a pre-recorded message wearing a hat and a scarf. So
Got it. That
If you asked
works.
me that question 10 years ago, it might have been different. But right now, let's just have Johnny send a message. That's fine.
Also, Heat. You could do the Warner Brothers 1995 film Heat would be a great.
There you go,
movie. There's
there you
so many great actors in that. What a
There's
cool
a
ensemble to get
lot
that
of people.
together.
I watched that movie fairly recently, and everyone's in it.
Yeah, and Michael Mann, and there you go.
Why am I forgetting the Wild Thing? Who's the rapper who shows up? Tone Loc shows
Tone
up in
Loc,
that movie.
yes.
Yes.
Yes,
sure.
I mean, Henry Rollins shows up in that movie.
Oh, so many people show up
There's-
for a little bit, for just a scene or two.
It's
You
a
got because
phenomenon.
like Natalie Portman.
Oh, this demands a reunion.
Yeah,
Oh,
I think we got to. A very
Hank
deep reunion.
Azaria. Hank Azaria.
Piven. Man, the list goes
Yeah.
on and on.
You
Oh, I
keep
thought you
going.
said pivot.
We're pivoting out of-
Pivots. That was
Use
the
pivot
last
to
reunion.
pivot. Well, let's do a couple AMA here. We also have a Hawkeye junket coming up. Kim spoke to the folks from that, but let's do a couple AMA questions here first. Which is Luis asks, and obviously he's talking about Spider-Man. How does it feel to know that we have to see this film opening day, or just avoid the internet entirely until we see it to avoid spoilers?
I mean, that's the case for all big movies like this now, right? But I get what you're saying, that there are potentially a ton of major revelations. How does it feel? How does it feel? I mean, yeah, I'll see it opening day. I'll probably even see it before opening day, to be honest. So
I don't know. I've kind of reached a point where I'm sort of, I don't like, obviously there are spoilers that can spoil the experience of watching a movie. I'm not denying the existence of spoilers. Like if you were about to watch Sixth Sense and somebody was like, Bruce Willis is dead, you'd be like, like that. Nobody's denying it. But there's a kind of spoiler that I'm not saying it's not a spoiler. I'm just saying it doesn't bother me anymore. Where it's like, oh, this character is going to show up. Like if you revealed to me what the Shang-Chi post-credit scenes were, I wouldn't be like, like Eternals. Like I knew what those were before I saw the movie. And like, I wish I didn't? Sure. Like I'm not happy about people spoiling things. But I also like, that doesn't really bother me. If it's not plot centric and it's just like a fun cameo or a little thing, it doesn't really bother. It's still fun to see, even if I heard a little bit about it beforehand. That's just
I wish it weren't the case. It is. I really hate when things debut on streaming now, how people instantly are all sharing like screenshots. So you really,
I don't like for kind of a different. It's not even so much that it's spoiling the surprise for me, but I don't like this culture of grabbing a moment out of a movie out of context and putting it online and being like, ha ha. Like I don't think like Cruella was like the greatest movie of the year, but people took that scene out of context and put it up on the internet immediately, and it's kind of a bad faith criticism. Like you kind of have to see it in the context of the movie, or of course it seems silly and doesn't make sense. You could do that to just about any movie.
Yep, agreed. Matin Valinsky asks, what turn off the dark references can you see? I think he's asking, can we see or do we want to see? But he says, can you see in No Way Home or Spider-Verse 2? I mean, all.
I mean, I saw a lot of people posting that A Freak Like Me Needs Company musical number that got cut from the show, in response to this. But yeah, I do think about the 30 Rock bit where Titus Burgess has that, and I will crush that Spider-Man and all the other Spider-Man. I believe their show is called Too Many Spider-Men in the 30 Rock universe.
The costume designs were just so wild and into the dark, or turn in the dark, that I'd just like to see that the version of Craven that was like a guy wearing like a theme park costume Craven had.
Yeah, that's what was so fun about that. I think in some ways it's the perfect meld of Broadway show and like theme park show or stunt spectacular or whatever. Like rarely have those two different formats been brought together so completely, where it's like, this is a thing you would see at Universal Studios, but on a Broadway stage.
Right.
Like it'd be like if the Waterworld stunt spectacular was like on the West End for a few weeks.
Oh
like,
man, I would go to that.
Oh yeah. Who wouldn't go to that?
do you think we'll get a Bono cameo in My Way Home?
If we're lucky. That's the post-credit.
Wow, yeah.
There's Bono there to talk about another initiative we don't know about. Jim asks, so far we have seen 5 villains in the trailer. Could there be one more to reveal? Maybe Vulture to make a sinister 6.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like there's gonna be more, and despite revealing a lot, they're still holding a lot back. So maybe Vulture. I think I'd like to see Topher Grace's Venom as a villain.
I feel there is a Venom in this movie. There could be 2 Venoms.
But you would think Hardy though. Hardy.
I think more likely Hardy.
Yeah.
But I'm saying that's why I'm like, there's at least one, right? But they could be 2.
I mean, they could go full like Deadpool and just have like multiple Venoms, and it's just that world. That's the world we're living in now.
I'm with you, Kim. I want to see Topher and his fangs that he gets for no reason.
Yes.
When he
No love for Paul Giamatti's Rhino, huh? We're definitely. I guess he doesn't die. He probably doesn't die. So
throw them all in.
Well, there is that line in the trailer. I was a little confused by this, where it's like only villains who have died can come back.
I'm glad you mentioned that line, because it did make me think about the fact that all the Spider-Man movies were pretty big on killing the villains.
Yeah, they always can't let that guy live.
Yeah, Lizard's one of the only ones who got like locked up at the end. Right. So I am like, is that going to be a plot point? It's like, yeah, all these guys are from other universes, and they all die at the end of their fights with Spider-Man. So maybe Tom.
Like, I guess Rhino could have died. He's alive when we leave him at the end of Amazing Spider-Man.
Right when they cut there and he's being all inspirational, he just kills Rhino.
Yeah, but we don't know. He could die moments later.
I'll end it on a Potter question. I do. Jim again asks, have Lon or Eric visited the Harry Potter studio tour near London? And I do like that he throws in, I imagine Kim has already. I mean, I don't know necessarily if Kim has.
I'm going to allow you to imagine that.
Yes,
I never have.
No, that sounds like a lot of fun. I would really enjoy doing that, but I have not.
I've been there a couple times.
Oh.
Look at this guy. Jeez.
Actually, it was it was Fantastic Beasts Part 1. We did the film Fantastic Beasts 1 at Leavesden, where that is, and they said, oh, maybe we'll have time to go to the tour. We didn't have time, but we popped in right before closing and saw the Hogwarts model, and we got to buy merchandise. And isn't that all you really need?
You gotta buy the merch.
But I went there on my own with my wife, and we had a great time seeing stuff. It was very cool. All right, we are going to show Kim's Hawkeye junket. Kim, who did you speak to? What did you speak about?
Well, I spoke to Jeremy Renner and Hailey Steinfeld, and director and executive producer Rhys Thomas, and we talked about Rogers the musical. We unpacked Clint's feelings as he watched that, which is interesting stuff. We also talked about the Die Hard influence and Hailey's feelings towards Kate Bishop working as a team ahead of any potential Young Avengers intro in the MCU. So, and one extra thing that we all discussed was the prospect of the encounter that I most want to see between 2 MCU
heavy hitters
in Hawkeye, which I won't spoil here, but that was fun.
Good stuff indeed. So we'll have that right now for you guys. Check out that junket, and we will be back with more soon. Thanks, guys. Take care.
You're a Hawkeye.
Who the hell are you?
Some people have actually called me the world's greatest archer.
We're speaking to an archery expert at Fandom, and who's assessing Hawkeye's archery skills and how possible they are. So I'm going to ask you, how realistic are Hawkeye's skills?
There's archery, and then there's superhero archery. So I don't know. Maybe that's what makes him a superhero, right? Because he's doing things that are quite impossible in real archery. I was, even like the guy that actually trained me was a gold medalist archer, and pretty awesome. The things he would teach me, but then I realized very quickly that oh wait, this is not superhero archery where he's doing these no-look firing and these kind of things that. But they're cool as heck, and the realistic, I don't know, maybe half of it can be real.
The show is really being pushed as a holiday event. Will Hawkeye become a Christmas tradition?
Oh, I hope so. That's the dream.
Has it been conceived as the Die Hard of streaming shows?
I certainly watched it when prepping for this, and but yes, I also self-consciously don't want to compare it to that myself. It's big shoes.
You're the latest actor to play a character that we'd assume would become a part of the Young Avengers if that ever happens. Would you want to explore Kate as part of a team dynamic?
I was able to explore Kate in a sort of team dynamic with Clint in Hawkeye. You know, they are a team. They're partners, whether or not he's willing to accept it. She does feel strongly about the collaboration and about doing something with this person and doing whatever she has to do in her role individually to play a part in this team. So yeah, I think we get to see a bit of that in this show.
Got it. Lucky, the pizza dog, we don't know that he's called Lucky yet. He hasn't had his name, but my question is he a very good boy?
Yes, he's a very good boy. No, it was great. The best boy. It was really actually surprisingly good, and I kind of wish that we'd done more with Lucky in the end, because I think everybody was sort of a little dubious about how well that would go, and it actually went surprisingly well. So
He did well for working with a dog, which can be tricky. He was very kind to us.
Oh, I had the best time. I had just recently gotten a puppy of my own, and so anytime I was not with her, I was with the pizza dog, and I felt like, well, I don't think she was very happy about it because she knew. Part of me was like, oh, she'll never know. She's just in the trailer, and then I came back smelling like another dog, and she knew. She was on to me.
I wanted to touch on Rogers the musical, and Clint's face watching the show is a picture. It conveys a lot of emotions, but could you talk me through what he's feeling and thinking at that moment?
And I challenged myself to convey almost every human emotion without any words, and that was my challenge. And I think that they got through quite a few that might be in the show. I haven't seen the final cut of what they used.
Yeah, I mean, I think on the surface level, discomfort and yeah, just an embarrassment. But you know but obviously deeper down, it sort of eventually conjures up. You know, I think the emotional connection with Natasha and that trauma, and that was the fun line with the I think that scene was having this kind of light exterior and a fun sequence, but ultimately digging at that other layer of Clint that's going on.
With Yelena Belova coming into the show at some point, I'm hoping that it throws up this mouth-watering encounter between two key Marvel characters, and they are the pizza dog and Fanny, her dog. What is that a head-to-head you'd like to see?
You know what? Yes, and I hadn't thought about it before, but I would.
Oh wow! I mean, I don't know. It sounds like Godzilla versus King Kong.